all. Hey, everybody. Let me see. Let me see how I work this. I'm coming to you for sure.
Immigration services, and also our single. This is the third installment for 2024, creating a winning proposal, and that will be done by Pastor Gilman Rose. But in order for us to continue doing this work in East Flatbush, we have some great partners, and I would like to welcome Lamaka Holmes from the East Flatbush Community Partnership to share a little about her organization and the work that she does also. Thank you so much, Jazanne. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Lameka Holmes. I'm the director of the East Flatbush Community Partnership, and so grateful for this opportunity to be on with you all. It's just been amazing. I've had a great partnership with Pastor Gil Monroe for several years now, and I'm just glad that we've been able to stay in touch and do great events like this.
Ooh.
So I want to share a little bit about the East Flatbush Partnership. We are one of 11. We are funded by ACS and part of their primary prevention strategy. So
I'm going to be on this and then the Zoom. So I want you to join me. It's our presentation is one of my master classes, and so if you have comments, you can leave it in the chat. 1 second here. I'm going to put some comments in.
do a hand-off referral. So we have direct contacts with people in different organizations so that we can make sure that everyone is getting that personal touch. And then we also follow up with them to ensure that whatever they needed assistance with, that they actually got it and that they had a great experience. So in addition to helping families get connected with resources, we also have a lot of community events going on.
All right, so if
and
you
I want to
like
share
to
with you
join us,
two that are.
if you would like to join us, I'll be coming on shortly, so just stand by. Okay.
This Thursday, actually at 7 p.m., is called the Virtual Open Door. And this is where residents can come together to get valuable information. It is a safe space, and we also welcome residents to share information as well. I'm going to drop that in so you can see that information. We do have an end-of-year celebration specifically for the partnership that is happening on the 19th of this month, and it's going to be at the Bon from 3 to 6 p.m. That's on a Thursday, and you are welcome to join us there. We're going to have food, fun, and really just celebrate all of the accomplishments over the year. And then lastly, we have our toy giveaway that's happening on December 21st from 12 to 4, and I would love to see you all there as well. If you have any questions for me, I'll definitely share my contact information in the chat as well, and I'm going to pass it over to Jan. You guys are in for a treat today, so stay tuned. Yes, thank you, Lamaka. With this, we'll hand it over to Pastor Monroe. He will get starting on how to assist you on creating a winning proposal, because we know securing support for your ideas could be a very daunting task, and he's the man with, some great ideas and great ways to get you through the process.
All right. So thank you all. Thank you, and good afternoon to all of you. This is our third and final installment for this year, and I'm really grateful for all of you for joining us today. We're going to go over some previous, we'll go over some previous work that we did together, and we will then make sure that you take some notes as much as possible. If you could just stop sharing the screen for a minute, I just want to make a few comments, and then we'll go to we'll go to the let me see, spotlight for everyone. We'll go to the proceedings. All right, so we'll be here up until 4 o'clock. I wanted to start off by saying what I said the last time, and is that I am coming to you today. Not in one particular title, right? I'm coming to you as the holistic person that I am. All of the experiences that I've had over the past years, I'm coming to share with you. This masterclass, it's really a situation where I am taking my years of experience in starting about 4 or 5 nonprofit organizations, with one of them or 2 of them actually failing, closing. And so I've learned a lot from that too as well. But so it's not that I'm speaking to you as the pastor of my church, or as the founding president of the God Squad, or the founder of Brooklyn Center for Quality Life, or the faith advisor to the mayor of New York City. No, I'm speaking to you in a holistic view of all that I've done, and saying to you, like, this is what I know for sure. With everything that I've been doing, these are the things that win, right? These are the things that make people who are on the other side say, hey, I want to fund this vision. I want to fund this idea. It's more than just putting niceties on a paper. So I want to do this exercise. And it is not because I'm not doing this because of the importance of what I've done. I'm doing this to prove a point, to show that I have done a lot of things with a lot of organizations. So I'm not doing this to say that I'm all of this and that and a third, like they say. I'm just doing this so you can, I can really, today I was writing down, I was saying, what I have done that make me the expert in this type of work. And so I went to my LinkedIn page. I didn't remember, and I went to my bio somewhere on Google, and I found this. So I serve on the board. These are positions that I've held. I had to leave all of those positions when I got appointed by the mayor. So all of these boards that I used to sit on, they ceased 3 years ago. So now I'm just doing mayor stuff and stuff for my church, but I and advise too as well. But I serve on the University of the Virgin Islands Center for Study of Spirituality and Professionalism, on the board of Faith Communities for Just Reentry. I served on Bricks and Mortals board. I served on the YMCA board in Brooklyn. Just before I came over to the mayor's office, I just started to serve on the Anti-Defamation League Advisory Board, Leadership Board. I serve on the Advisory Leadership Council for Habitat for Humanity. I served many years on the Community Leadership Council, and I chaired Kingsbrook Jewish Medical Center. We were very instrumental in bringing affordable housing to Kingsbrook campus. I serve on the board for Boys Town. Also, too, I serve as the alumni chair for We Are Brooklyn. I serve on the Brooklyn Healthcare Improvement Project. I was one of the founding board members for Explore Charter School in Brooklyn. I served many years on the Kings County Behavioral Health Committee Council. I served on the Neighborhood Services Invest in Brooklyn initiative, which I was one of the co-founders of that. I serve on the Caribbean Tourism Organization Interfaith Celebration. I led that charge for a long time. And then I serve as the vice president of many nonprofit organizations, including the Church of God Seventh-day Pastors Network, including the St. Lucia House Foundation. I serve on Community Board 17. I was a member. And I started 5 nonprofit organizations. So I say that to say, not so that I can look important, but that I have been around and have seen how those of us, when we were outside starting a nonprofit organization, what it looked like to be able to present a winning proposal. You know, when I came to you before, we talked about why I never hired a grant writer. Not only because I never had money, but I thought that if you know what the problems are and you have a vision for the solution, the best person to write your proposal is you. Not saying that you don't give it to someone to edit it, to get creative, to change the language. I'm saying proposal, like when you were seeing a problem, like the Brooklyn Center for Quality Life, which I founded about in 2008 in Brooklyn. And the reason that I started off with my first white paper, I did a research that says that if you look at like the way you're serving, and you can get good raw data, we'll talk about that later on as well, for a good proposal, you have to paint a picture as to the problem in which you're trying to solve. And the way that you do that, you have to be very strategic in really understanding what is the problem that you want to solve. You are the why, right? So in government, when we meet, you know, in city government and we're meeting with the mayor and the staff, and we're meeting with commissioners, and there's a problem in New York City, they only want to know, you know, what is the solution to the problems? We don't need people to call into government to tell us, well, we have dirty streets, or we have a problem with prostitution, or young people don't have any place to go after 3 o'clock. We know that, because that's the average person, especially on Twitter and social media, is going to remind you of the problems that you have. As a leader in your church or your synagogue or your house of worship or your nonprofit, people are going to tell you what is the problem. But the best employees and the people who work with you, your best assistants, is the people saying, I recognize that there's a problem, but I think I have a solution. And so we want to fund those ideas. We want to fund solutions. We don't want to just fund problems. And you want to fund the solution to the problem. So today I want to give you some great steps to the things that I have learned. I have been in a room where I was approving the salary of someone who was making like more money than I could have ever imagined. And I was here approving that person's salary. I was like, I would like to make that one day. But it was part of the process to show me how these decisions are made in the boardroom. So as I read off to you, I've served on just about every type of nonprofit organization, approving funding, looking at proposals, writing proposals myself. When I left the God Squad, it took us about 10 years to get the first $50,000. When I left, we were at millions of dollars. I know how to start an organization from the ground up. It took me many years to build these out. But I think I've learned because I was always in a position to be able to serve. And I serve on all of these boards. Every single board that I just mentioned to you, all how much ever I have on this paper, it was free. But the knowledge that I gained was amazing. All right, so we begin. So we are going to talk about navigating the proposal process. And sometimes it can feel like it's a daunting task for sure. And so what I want to share with you as we move on is that there's a couple of things that is very important when you're looking at, creating this winning proposal. Now, this is going to be a little difficult for me because I'm not controlling the slide itself, but I'm ready to go. So the first thing is that really and truly turning your ideas into action. So the first thing is knowing how government works. And I want to speed through these very fast. You have to understand the structure of your local government, branches, agencies, and the roles of government. You don't want to send a proposal to a state issue when you can send it to a city issue. You want to send your proposal to the right places. And especially if you're doing proposals for nonprofit organizations, if you want private funding, there's a different language that you're going to have to speak to as well when it comes to this. So you have to, number one, know exactly how government is structured. The next thing that I said to you the last time is that our budget we're just going to use we're going to use the federal government. The federal government budget is $1.2 trillion. What that means is that every issue that is faced in government, it needs to be funded, right? From childcare to buying tires for trucks, buying vehicles. You just list it. You can just check off everything that the federal government is needing. They are going to have to spend money for it. The state budget in New York State, I'm using New York State. I know that we have people who are from out of state, but I'm just giving an example of where I am. Is it's $229 billion. And then the city government budget locally in New York City is $107 billion. So between New York State, and the federal government, actually between New York State and New York City, you're talking about over close to $400 billion. And that $400 billion, money has to go through so that for sure that these projects or plans have to be funded. So who has your money? Again, we're reviewing from the last time. Who has your money? So your money is in the hands of your U.S. representative. That's someone from the Congress, your U.S. senator, your borough presidents, city council members, or if you're in a municipality, you can just do the equivalent. I'm going to be speaking New York speak, but as you move around the country, you can decide, what is the equivalent to a city council, state senators, and your state assembly member. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all of those 6 areas is 6 different proposals, really and truly, that you can put in for funding. It's not just one, it's not 2. And I didn't put the mayor's office on there because, like I said to you, if you go back up and you remember what I said, is that the mayor signs the budget into law, creates the budget, and that budget then goes to from the borough presidents and city council, which is responsible for funding your proposals, right? That's one particular way. So that's who has your money. What that means is that these are the individuals. I'm just talking about navigating government because that's where I'm at, but you can also do this the same as well for private funding. All right, so let's start to cast some vision, right, on this whole thing. All right, first of all, the first thing that you need to do to create a winning proposal is that you must describe the issue. You have to describe the issue, and you have to be clear in proposing what exactly you are wanting to do, what you are saying that the problems are going to be, and you need to figure out what are you saying to the funders that you're going to provide. All right, so you have to have a good and clear description of what you are actually saying that you're going to do. Never overpromise and underdeliver. It is better to underdeliver. It is better to underpromise and overdeliver. Don't make things up. All right, so you have to really be clear on that. So you have to be clear on what you're proposing, and what you're proposing is very important, because one of the things that I would say to you is that you should do three things. You should always apply. The second thing that you should do too as well is always find an opportunity to apply. And then the third thing that you should do too as well is you need to find a third opportunity to apply. You need to apply, and you need to embrace the no's. What do I mean by that? I mean that the more no's that you get for your proposal, make sure that the people who rejects your proposal give you some insights to the proposal as to why you didn't make it. Don't take a no as an offense. It's all business, right? So you go in and you get a no. If you don't get no's, you really wouldn't know exactly what is the yes is in understanding what is a successful proposal. So a lot of time people call and say, okay, we would like you to fund, XYZ, but there is no innovation behind the proposal. There is no, sometimes you have to tell someone that even though they know the problem, you have to be so good at explaining the problem that they truly believe that, wow, we have a problem, and this proposal or this person submitting this idea is the person to help me solve the problem. So you have to have a clear description of what you're going to do and how you're going to implement it. So you have to apply. The other thing that I would say is that if you don't have what I call, I'm the king of a one pager. If someone wants a proposal, you have to put it on one paper, like this one paper, not 100, one paper, explain exactly what is the problem and just an overview of what you're going to do. Busy people and people who are funding, for the most part, if you're pitching directly, and we'll talk about that, directly to someone who's a funder, they don't want long talks. I think I shared with you in maybe series number 2, one of the things that I did in Central Brooklyn when I started off, founding the nonprofits that I talked to you about, the Brooklyn Center for Quality Life, doing the work with the God Squad, is that and also promoting my local food pantries to get funded for food pantries, and immigration reform stuff that we were doing, and HIV/AIDS, is that I met with all of my elected officials at my church for lunch, and I never asked them for funding. All I did was give them on a one-page sheet what I believe that some of the problems are that we have and how we can work together to solve them. I never asked for money, because what I was doing is that you need to know, and you need to have a relationship as well with the people that you were asking to look at your proposals, right? Whether it's people who is on the board, if you know the board, or whether it's the principal too as well. So my thing that I was doing, I was definitely meeting directly with my the top 7. Like I told you, you have U.S. senators, you have your Congress, you have city council, you have your state. I met with Lamaka, who's on here. She funded us during COVID-19. Lots of funding for what? For rice and for oil and for flour when there was a shortage of rice in Brooklyn. I went to that organization and I said, listen, there is a shortage of rice in Brooklyn during COVID, and her organization funded us to be able to buy over, I think it was like $10,000 of rice and oil and all that good stuff. I gave them the problem. They didn't know. I was like, yeah, look at it. I pull up the reports. I made a convincing one-pages a proposal, and they funded us to buy rice in Brooklyn during COVID. Right? Who would have thought that? And that was the case. People, could not go into restaurants, and so we provided that service. So we showed them what the problem would be, and then we give them the solution that we will buy it, we will distribute it, we will get to the people, we will drop it off at their homes. And so that's what we did. We did a network of drivers who would drive to that location. We got someone to fund the drivers. We got someone to get the rice and the oil and the flour through COVID-19. We got fresh fruits and vegetables. And so we showed the organization the benefit of them partnering with us. So we had the problem. And so you have to have a clear description as to what you are proposing, but you also have to demonstrate impact. You have to demonstrate impact. And what are the essential components of a successful proposal? You have to demonstrate that it's going to be impactful. If someone is going to invest $1 million of their budget to you, you have to have some impactful outcome for the person. Listen, it's an investment. Even though it is your money going through the hands of government, you should have a clear, and you must demonstrate impact. What you are proposing, even though 100 other people are proposing it, it needs to sound like only you can do the job. You have to basically be like, yes, I'm telling you that, I'm the 105th bodega, but I'm going to be doing something differently. So what are the essentials? You must, again, work on making sure that you have and you can demonstrate really great impact. So you want to build relationships with your decision makers. And I want to say to all of you too as well, let's repost that in the chat. New York City is opening up the discretionary funding for 2025. And I'm going to stress on, especially leaders, make sure that you're meeting now with your city officials. Let them know who you are. Meet now with them so that you know and they know the work that you're doing. People want to know that you're serious. People want to know that you're trustworthy. I think that for me, one of the powerful things that I did was when I met with all of the elected officials who represented my church in East Flatbush, I had these lunch with them, and everyone was asking me at the end. I remember one elected official, they asked me, okay, now you have prompt me up. What is it that you want from me? And I said, I don't want anything from you but partnership. But I didn't ask for funding. I said, here is what I'm doing. Here's where I think that we are lacking in East Flatbush. And here's how we could be helpful. And so I left the meeting without asking for a particular dollar amount. But I wanted to build the relationship with the decision maker. There is something that we're going to talk about too as well later down, is that you have to also have a good relationship with secondary. I had something that we did many years ago, is how to really work with the chief of staffs of all the offices. Chief of staffs are very important. You should know who your chief of staff, and you should have a good where are we going? We're not that far. Okay, we should have you should have a really good relationship with chiefs of staffs, because they kind of direct the flow of the office, and it's good to be able to have a communication as to where is the thinking of the principal. What do they want to fund? Jeff Bezos said that he had a lot of difficulty of trying to figure out how he's going to give away all the money, his money. There's a lot of people who are billionaires right now who are saying that they don't know who to give the money away to. That's a good problem to have, but that's also crazy to know that billionaires, and just apologize for me looking off screen, I'm on live on Facebook and on here, so I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. And so I think that just by saying that, I would think that to give away, $5 billion every year would be an easy task. But the billionaires are saying that it's not an easy task, and why that is. Um, that's something that we need to explore. That's something that you need to explore, and that's something that we need to all figure out. Like, why would billionaires say that there's a problem in giving out their money? Is it because they feel that the proposals that they're getting, or they're not getting the right proposals on their doorstep? As crazy as that might sound, that is a real issue, today in America. Billionaires are saying that they need the help in figuring out how to be able to give away billions of dollars. So you need to really build relationships with the decision makers, right? So that you can continue to develop and demonstrate impact. And of course, relationship is everything, especially in the city. All right, capacity. We're going to talk about capacity. Um, we want to talk about capabilities and competency. Um, Faith gave this to me as she is doing some work on looking at proposals. Faith Henderson, who has worked with me for many years throughout my career. Very smart young lady. Um, Always the one who could pick up exactly where is the next trend, like what we should be doing. And so you have to be able to demonstrate that you have the capacity to do what you say you're going to do. Never give a proposal for $5 million and your capacity is at $1 million. Now, the thing is that you can give a proposal, or you can talk about the fact that you have capacity for $1 million and can grow to 5 million, but you can't give a capacity to $5 million and you only have the capacity for $1 million. Because what you're going to do is that you're going to fail, and you're going to overpromise, and you're going to underdeliver. And most times, especially elected officials, they don't want to have a situation where they're funding you, and even nonprofit organizations and funders, and then you underdeliver with the promise that you made. So, in terms of capacity, one of the things that you need to continue to look at is that, are you really providing what you say that you're going to provide? And if you're not providing it, don't say it that you're providing it. So you have to be clear. So the example that I use, and I'm just going to write on this, is that we knew for sure that we had a network of 15 food pantries in central Brooklyn. I went to Lamaka and her team at East Flatbush. Lamaka, what's the name of your group? She's here.
East Flatbush Community Partnership.
Okay, East Flatbush Community Partnerships. And I said, hey, if you partner with us, we can deliver all of this. We can deliver $10,000 worth of rice, flour, oil in Brooklyn, in central Brooklyn. But we had the vehicle to do it, because what we did is that we combined 15 churches who had food pantries to do the job, to do the work. So we want the only one at my church delivering rice, flour, and oil, and food during COVID-19. But I had 15 other groups who are working with us within the 6-7 precinct area, in the conference of the 6-7, who were given food to as well, to be able to reach communities. So we have the capacity and we have the competence to say that we can do it on our own. I didn't go on in there and say, listen, give it to me, give it to Mount Zion alone, my church. I said, no, I have the competency to be able to put a plan that we have the capability to be able to run the capacity in which we can give out $10,000 worth of flour, rice, oil. And so the proposal was a win-win for all of us, because we had the ability to do so with our partners. So definitely we need to do that. So so you have to be able to really make sure that in your proposal, that what you're saying that you're going to do, you're going to do it, right? You have to be honest. And we'll talk about the budget piece last, because I think that sometimes when we go into nonprofit work, one of the things that I want to tell you is that you will not get rich overnight. and you probably will not get rich. However, it takes a lot of time and honesty to be successful in making sure that you submit yourself to a good proposal, you get the funding, and then you build moving forward. All right. So we want to provide a thorough understanding of the issue and its challenges, and have a well thought out strategy to address the issues. When you're doing a winning proposal, take in mind that, let's say you're saying to the city that I want to fund children in your zip code 11203 with an after school program. One of the things that you need to realize is that you need to find data. Okay. And so when I did one of my nonprofit organizations that I started, Brooklyn Center for Quality Life, one of the data points that we saw was that health was an issue in central Brooklyn. And so what I did was I went to the Department of Health and I used their own statistics to show exactly how sick we were in central Brooklyn, or Community Board 17. And so it was specific to where I was going. I'm not going to the whole New York City, because the people who is going to fund my proposal is my local elected officials. That's the first step. So data drives dollars. Okay, data drives dollars. And so with the data that I had, one of the things that we were doing is that the data is going to drive the dollars. If you have data that says that 23% of everyone who lives in this particular square mileage of where you're going to serve have asthma, and then you look at the data that's in there, because the health department or the city knows that asthma is a problem. The data is going to drive where the money is going to go, especially when you get to philanthropies, and so through nonprofits and foundations. You want to make sure that you have data that will speak to the needs that there is, right? So you have to have a clear description of the issues, and you propose a solution based on the data that you have. So your data, right, that you having, you have to have relevant data and a evaluation plan. So you have to say, okay, if the data within my particular area of where I want to serve says to me that young African American boys are going to die by gun violence if they live in this particular area um, uh, by 2025, if four things doesn't happen: if they don't get housing, if they don't continue to have schools, education. You say you list four things, and you have the data to prove that. In your proposal, you want to drive your narrative by the data. When I did the first white paper, along with attorney Edda Hanley, who was then the police commissioner's counsel, I think it was Ray Kelly or one of those, I don't recall who, we did a white paper before we got our first funding to fund the 67 Precinct Clergy Council. So we did a white paper that shows the need of how much gun violence that there were. We said, here is the data, but also here's what we can do with another set of data, which shows that if you give community the services that they need. You ever thought about whatever happened to the mafia? Like, that it was the resources were brought in to change that economy. And the same too with gun violence. If you just can't put police and over police in communities to reduce gun violence. What the data shows that if you start to have affordable housing, if you have to have a situation where people are in good public schools, and you can even have parochial schools, Christian schools, you have schools, you have faith-based schools, you have a new trend, which is charter schools. And if you can and show that if you put these schools or you get additional schools and give parents choices, the life expectancy on the young African American in your community will increase, and that will increase productivity, et cetera, et cetera. So when you have to have relevant data that speaks to your application. You have to research, and you have to understand the community needs, right? If you don't need to have a food pantry in your community and you have like 20, don't just say that you want to do a food pantry because you have a food pantry. You can actually look at the data. And what we did too as well for my food pantry is that we create what we call a pipeline. The people who came into our food pantry, what is their level of understanding how to use a computer? So we started a computer class. So we started training these individuals in the food pantry how to use a computer, and then how to create their own resume, and then how to look for a job, right? Because the idea is that we don't necessarily want to have a dependency of people who will come to our food pantry for 10 years. And so what we did was, again, the data drove the fact that, yes, if you give them the support that they need, they can be on the up and up, right? They can excel. And so that's what we did. What are the best ways to demonstrate the long-term impact and sustainability for your project? And that means that you have to diversify your portfolio. We'll talk about budget in a little while, but you have to diversify your portfolio. And it could be in a number of ways. It could be that you can partner with another nonprofit organization to provide services with you that you don't have to do, but you might have the capacity or the competency or the capability of bringing people to the table. This nonprofit organization might come into your community. They might have no connection to your community, but they have the services, they have the dollars. And then in your proposal to them, you can say, listen, I don't necessarily need to have funding from you, but if you can give me your services, if you can provide me with technical assistance, that's a great proposal to write to as well. I did a technical proposal with Brightpoint Health. We did a linkage agreement. Everyone in Central Brooklyn was able to benefit from a new federally funded healthcare facility on Bedford on Bedford Avenue in East Flatbush. And so the linkage agreement was that we would love to be able to bring people to this facility. They would bring buses. They would send buses to your house of worship, and they would take the buses, get to your house of worship, and they would bring them to the location for services. That was a linkage agreement. We didn't have the funding, but our proposal was that we have the capability of bringing people, you have the services. So let's marry together and let's have a winning proposal together for a community. And it worked for a very long time. So so what are the best ways to demonstrate long-term impact and sustainability of your project is that you have to have the data that drives your project. You have to look at the ability to write a meaningful proposal that you're seeing the problem, and then you have to make sure that you're writing something that is very impactful. So use the data to tell a story. So I'm going to say, how sick is my community? And I'm using the data to prove that, yes, my community is sick, and I'm going to find a way to heal us. You use the data to tell a story, and then you use the data to also say, okay, here's what we're going to do to be able to fund this proposal. Just a few more things, and then we'll open up for questions. We talked about building relationship with decision makers again. We talk about how do we effectively follow up and submit a proposal to keep the conversation going. All right, so now this is very important too as well, right? And it's major. You need to be persistent, but you shouldn't be nagging. Okay, you want to have persistency, but you don't want to be a nag. And it's a fine line. And the way that I believe that you should work on effectively following up on a proposal is by effectively doing the work that you say that you're going to do in a proposal, and showing the person who is stalling on your proposal that you're doing the work and it's working. Does that make sense? So the way that you effectively follow up on your proposal is by doing what you say that you're going to do in the proposal without having the proposal funded yet. But the decision makers are seeing the work. So what happened was that I had a group of clergy, not only clergy, but elected officials who was supporting my initiatives without funding me first. So for you to be a believer of a person on their proposals and it's not being funded, the way that you effectively follow up on your proposal is by doing the same work and saying, hey, we're doing the work and you know that the proposals are in, but you keep on doing it, right? You keep on working, you keep on building, you're not complaining. You can email 100 times. Then you have to have patience galore, because funding from city, funding from even nonprofits and foundation sometimes takes a while to turn around, and so you need to have that level of patience. So to effectively follow up with a proposal, continue to do the work that you say that you're going to do. It's not like a lot of times people make a proposal which is like a pie in the sky idea. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but yet still right now you're not doing the work. You gotta scale up. So what you are proposing to offer a solution to the problem must be a situation where you are now scaling this thing up. So if you say that you want to serve 20 students and you can only service the two, let that be an effective follow-up to the proposal by taking that testimony and saying, hey, I'm doing this work. So to effectively follow up after a proposal, you keep the conversation going, you keep doing the work, and they're going to come around. And then the last piece, which is the most important piece in my mind, is that you have to develop a realistic budget. Okay? I want to stress that. And Faith gave me this line, and she said that this is not a time to create confusion, and you need to make sure that your budget is balanced and does not come across greedy. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you want to compare, like I used to tell my team, and I still tell my team all the time, I don't count other people's money. So an announcement comes out and says that Mo Rasby, got a contract for $50 million. My only two questions to my team is, what did he do, and what is he doing, and how we can, figure out how we can get with him and we could talk with him about it. That's the question to my team. The question to my team is not to complain that he got $50 million, because we got $400 billion in the state, right? We got $400 billion in the state. You can stop sharing the screen, Elizabeth. I'll move the questions down. So we have $400 billion in the state. So if he got $50 million, my job is not to count his money. And I don't want you to count the amount of money that I have for my nonprofits either. That's not your job. That's not your business. Your business is to decide, how am I going to have a realistic budget? My first budget that I submitted for proposal for funding was $150,000. We got $50,000, right? I didn't go to $1 million and then $3 million, but I started to increase. People was like, you need to ask for some more. But where do you start? Like, who do you talk to? And so I had to talk to people who was doing this work. And, because of friendship, you say, listen, how much is something like this? How are you doing this? Like, what is the going? And then you start to read, you start to look on public records, and you see how much, what people are doing, what is the RFPs. And then if you do your RFPs and you get rejected, remember I said that you have to apply, and apply. That's the three things that I want to leave here with. You have to apply, you need to apply, and you always apply, and let them say no to your proposals. And when they tell you no to your proposals, you ask them, where could I improve? And then you improve on your proposals, you submit it again, and you keep on pushing forward. Okay, so you have to have a realistic budget. What does that mean? I always believe that number one, you should be able to pay yourself. You got to pay yourself. Back in the day, and I will tell you that if I don't have the funding to do a program right now, I'm not doing it. I mean, all goodwill and gesture is through the ministry of the gospel for me and my faith. But to be able to put out a proposal or to do a program, it needs to be funded. I can't do it without the funding. So you got to pay yourself. Now, when you say you pay yourself, right, you got to know what that means. It means to say that if you know that you're not making any money right now from your nonprofit organization, you have to pay. You have to just make sure that you put something so that you're working, you're thriving. Not the big dollars. You don't want to do. You don't want your salaries to be, bloated 90%, of your 100% of your budget. You don't want to go that far. You just want to be able to say, okay, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna. I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe somebody would know that. I didn't research that, but I know I always try to stay, 10-20%. And then decide on what is the budget. What are you asking the person to pay you to do? Be realistic. Don't try to milk and come across greedy because you believe that the city have a bunch of money, therefore I could ask for whatever I want to ask for. No, you have to estimate your costs. You have to develop a budget that is complete, cost effective, that is clear. You need to prioritize your expenses, and you don't have to pay for everything in one go round in every proposal that you make. Sometimes you have to separate the cost of your overall cost, and based on the proposal, that is the portion even of the salary that you're going to put forward. All right, so let's recap. To create a winning proposal, it must be driven by data. You must know the problem that you want to solve. It has to be clear, and you have to have an impactful way of showing that you can do the job. In that too as well, you have to develop a realistic budget. You have to build your relationships with the decision makers. Especially, I'm going to say this to all of you in the New York City area and those of you who are outside of the New York City area. I want to say to you is you need to be in touch with your elected officials now who is going to give you the discretionary funding come January. The link is going to be open. I think the link is in the chat. If someone can really put it back in the chat, that would be great. Again, if you hear billionaires giving away money, track them down, figure out how to apply, put in your proposals. If they tell you no, it's all right. Go back in again, ask them, what could I do to strengthen my proposals? I put in my proposals and it was like, well, you're not covering this. And our team, we went back in again and we went over and over again. I can't tell you all of this, but I could just give you this because it's in the works. I applied for I'm applying for something, and I think I've failed to get the proposal or the award for 3 years or 4 years in a row. Guess what we're doing right now? We're going back in, we're looking at where we were short, and we are now reworking my failure over the past 4 years for this one proposal that I've been writing. Okay? So it's over again. So the team says, no, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep on going. So make sure that you apply. You get to know the decision makers. You continue to work on a realistic budget. You know exactly what you're applying, and I'm going to wish you the best success. And anything that I can do, we are going to definitely help you to do so. All right. So good. I talk enough, and I talk a long time, and now it's time for questions. All right. Remember, those of you who just joined, I am not speaking to you as any particular one title. I'm speaking to you from the wealth of my experience which I've gained. All right. So if you have a particular question about the CTD district, that's not. I am speaking to you as my experience as Guilford Monroe's in all the things that we have done, so that we can help you. All right. So again, I'm not doing specific city questions. This is me helping you as a nonprofit worker, a faith leader, as to the overall view of how do you become successful in navigating the government. All right, so let's go. All right, Naquan.
Yes, praise the Lord, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, doing good.
Okay. So, Pastor Gill, so all of these things we may have connection or have experienced or have some type of, part two, right? The only thing is building that original income. Like you said, we have to have the funds already. So if that's been a challenge, so what could we do, or what could your office do to maybe put us in a room with some of those people like Jeff Bezos, like maybe do a fundraiser or something?
Yeah. Okay. So again, it's not my office. It's me talking to you, the group. It's my experience, and I'm doing a masterclass for the group. Like I said, this has nothing to do, even though my office is sponsoring it, but I run my office. It's me saying to you, I'm giving you my experiences, and I want to help you become successful. So if you're talking about specifically like grants within city government, we can talk about that. But what I would say to you is that 1,000 steps begins with one. If you have a proposal for 50 kids and you can do something with one or two, you can go down the street and you can figure out, because there's a lot of nonprofit organization who has the funding but they don't have kids. So my thing is that you have to have a way of connecting with those individuals. I told you the story of me having to sell the idea of rice in Brooklyn. So I didn't have the funding to do it, but I had the competency to use 15 food pantries that says that, hey, we are part of the ones that's going to give away the rice. All I had to do was saying, well, I don't have the money, you have the capacity. What happens? So the company now gives, the nonprofit now gives my nonprofit $10,000. That is $10,000 that I'm adding to my revenue and my budget. So if my budget was $20,000, let's say $20,000, they give me $10,000. Now my budget for next year is $30,000. That's why the city will not give. That's why like city council would give like individuals 5,000, 10,000, because if they can't trust you with 50,000, they will not trust you with 50 million. So you have to then work up in increments to be able to do so. So what do? You partner with folks. You got to be on the ground. You got to be committed. You got to read. You got to continue to make sure that you are working consistently, so that you can get those great partnerships. Melinda Hunt. Thank you, man. Melinda Hunt.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I wanted to.
Could we spotlight the folks that's on camera? Thank you so much. Go ahead, Melinda.
I wanted to get your advice we're advocating for an end to mass burials in New York City, and we've approached all of the city council because the city cemetery on Hart Island is a citywide service. And we've met with all of them that would give us meetings. For the city council members who did not give us meetings, do we keep going back to them, sort of nagging for a meeting, or should we focus instead on the ones who gave us a meeting, and then we can give them an update that it's confirmed that the Parks Department is absolutely not going to end the burial practice. In fact, they've
Right.
increased it by 33%.
Okay, so what you start off with now is that data drives dollars.
Okay.
And I would say you start off with the idea of compassion.
Okay.
We're talking about burying people. So your letter should start off by saying, do you imagine that there are people in New York City who is being buried with other loved ones? How could we, bring dignity to these people? And then you make a play on the fact that the people who are alive must, take care of the people who is dead. Like, we have to show compassion, and I think that you should try a compassion route. As much as it might sound, I think sometimes elected officials and the parks, they're into policy and
Right.
straight line. So lead with compassion. Lead with stories of compassion of loved ones who needs to be able to be buried. And I think that maybe that could be helpful. But keep on pushing and keep on writing them. Don't stop.
But even the ones who haven't responded,
Oh, yeah.
you just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give them a nice love nudge, okay?
Okay.
And then you might have to bring out the big bat at some point, but keep on working with them until that time. All right, Shirley.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not on video. This has been amazing. Just a couple of questions. So I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how to register with the state financial system. Mm-hmm. I'm finally registered and I'm pre-qualified for that. Took a while, and the help desk is great. I also registered for Passport, but are there other agencies that, I know that if you're under 1.5 million, you don't have to do a CHAR 500. Right. But are there other things that we need to be aware of as far as as a small nonprofit just starting, where we can eliminate some of that nightmare at the last minute when you find something and you're not, and then you realize it's going to take you to qualify for something?
No, when I become president. No,
okay. I'm electing you.
But what I would say to you is that use your one proposal to apply to everything. So normally, I think even in the chat today, we put something from the district attorney office in Manhattan for the first time since he D.A. Braggs have a proposal. I think it's $500,000 that they're giving to small community groups who have money. If there's anybody on the team who have the information for there's an organization that's giving out $50,000 to groups. I think we have two. We have Odyssey and we have Ujama. Could you please share it? If not, we'll send it in our thank you email to you. But I think that there is a lot of state and city agencies also too who can you can apply to. But you need to be in Passport for the city, and I think you need to be in Gateway for the state. For the federal government, I don't recall what it is, but I think that you should definitely reach out.
SAM.gov. I think you need a SAM ID for federal government.
Yeah, you just do all of them. Just have them and make sure paperwork is, and I would say to the team too as well, is that make sure that you have your paperwork in order. I lost my 501c3 status for not filing my 1099 or something like that, I think it was, which we didn't know. We were ignorant to the fact, and we had to reinstate it. And so I would say that just make sure that those things are done and just keep on applying for everything that you can see. You got to be like scouring everything. Look at the announcement. See who's partnering with who. Look at logos. Learn about these organizations. You have to hustle and to do the job. That needs to be a full-time job. All right.
Gotcha, great. And then if you could link all those grants that you just mentioned in the queue, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. All right. So team, let's see if we could find those and we can put them in and also put them in the thank you going out. All right. Winter, Natalie.
Hi, Pastor Monrose. This is Pastor Natalie in
We are actually in North Carolina, so we're not in New York.
No, this is nationwide, so we great. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, I just heard you mention something that our church went through as well, where the accountant that we pay to do our 503 filed the wrong one. And so I know the particular one that she applied for, we will have to make sure we have a report every year. However, at the end of 3 years, if we don't put it in, it will automatically cancel our 503. However, during the time of the church launch, it was during COVID. So we were going through a whole lot of stuff at that time. And then when I happened to pay her over $7 to do it before it even was canceled, she submitted our stuff late, which causes it to cancel.
Okay, let me tell you.
Here we are now.
Okay, let me just say this to the whole group. The first thing, the class that I had before this was why I never hired a grant writer, because I could read and write. Now, when I say read and write, I'm not a great writer. I would have somebody edit, but the basic tenets. There's two things that I handle in my local church. I handle anything that comes from the city and anything that comes from IRS. No secretary handle that. No deacon. No. It comes to me. Why? Because once you lose that the first time, it's always hard to go back. So I would say to you is that you also have to take some time to learn about those important parts of your ministry. And that is ministry, is the business side of it. So you need to take whatever paperwork that she gave you and you need to read through it, make it make sense, and then learn about those two particular things. Anything that deals with the IRS in my house, I open it right away. Like IRS, I handle, and anything from the city. Don't play with those two, okay? So I'm gonna tell you right now, learn as much as you can so that you can be above ground with that. And anything else, you can always reach out to me. But I would say to learn that very much so. All right. Do we have you're welcome. Do we have any more questions? All right, Reverend Franco.
Yes, Pastor Monroe, thank you so much. You're doing an excellent job, and I appreciate this workshop that you're doing today because I know it's helping a lot of people. I wanted to ask, though, I know we talked about HHS and also Passport. Is there any way that we can help some of the nonprofits to expedite some of the paperwork? Is there an on-site person that we can go to and talk to individually instead of going back and forth in the computer for months, weeks, and sometimes years trying to submit the paperwork and get things approved so that we can get the funding? I know sometimes I've waited so long for funding. It's the next year and I'm applying for the next discretionary funding and I haven't received the last discretionary funding. So is there some way we can expedite some of these processes?
Yeah, just pray.
I knew you was going to say that.
I can't help you there. One day I'll have a master class if I can get some policies changed. But no, you just got to stay the course, bro. And do the best that you can. But government, that's one thing. I can help you navigate the government, but I can't create a new government for you. Okay, so all right, everybody. Thanks so much for everyone. You had a question, Shirley?
Oh, yeah, I have one more. I just wanted to share. So I've been working with an organization called CRE. I just put it in the chat.
Good.
However, one of the things I'm involved in, and they're having a bunch of cohorts, is developing AI that's sensitive to the needs of nonprofits, considering the sensitive population, DEI biases, etc. So we're actually in a think tank. I think we're 4 cohorts in of developing specific. Anyways, so I would encourage everybody to reach out to CRE. They have great resources. They have management courses, and then SCORE is. Right. I think that's how we. Or citizens also.
Okay, good. All right, so thank you for that. Listen, man, it has been a true pleasure to be with you 3 times this year on my masterclass series. Again, just me sharing with you all. Again, it's not about my position. It's just about my experience, my life, my lived experience. And if you could do it one time, that's the best thing about it. I think that I can take any nonprofit organization, and in 6 months to a year, we can be up and running and fully functioning. Why? Because if you do it once, twice, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, you can always do it again. Take all the time that you need to make sure that you learn all the aspects of the business and know how to navigate government. And even, when I used to do my own funding with DYCD, I would have to call my contact, and you just have to be in touch, check in. Sometimes you can give a phone call and not just talk about the money. Like I said, I met with all my elected officials, give them my proposals without asking for funding, just so that I can know the decision maker, just so that I can get FaceTime with them. Some of you have never met outside of maybe an event, you elected official. Set them up, have them come to your local place. And then also too, I would say that I probably would do a series on this too, about how to meet, what questions to ask, and how long to stay. And I would always make sure that my meetings, even though it was lunch, was 30 minutes. If they wanted to stay, I would allow them to stay. But you can't have, like I said, I had a meeting with a church and the mayor, and since that time, it was early in our administration, since that time I always talk to folks well before they come on to a meeting. I always say, if you have 30 minutes to speak to the mayor or to speak to Jeff Bezos or someone about your proposal, speak for 5 minutes and give them 20 minutes to respond. Don't speak for 20 minutes and then give them 10 minutes or 5 minutes to respond. I saw that happen. They had a long proposal. They just need to know. They are so astute. They're so sharp. All you need to say, here's the problem, Mr. Billionaire. Here's what the data is saying, and we believe that we have the solution. I would love to partner with you. And then you turn it over to them. If they say thank you, say thank you. Close the meeting off. That's it. We're done. If they say no, they say no. I'm going on to the next. If they start to ask questions, you stay with them and you ask questions. So you set the meeting for 30 minutes. You are there on time. If it's lunch, it's prepared. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And you're closing on time, and you say, thank you so much for your time. You close it. If they want to leave, they leave. What that will do is that it will give you the ability and the right to be able to have them back again. But if I know that you're going to take me on the phone and I call you, I'm telling you right now, and I can't get in a word, I don't want to take your call. I don't want to come to no lunch with you because you're going to chap my ear off. So I'm not coming. So you could do all of that. So listen, thank you all so much. Very grateful to all of you for really being on. Recording stopped. And whatever you need, if we didn't get it, answer today, you can always reach out to me. You have my phone numbers, those of you. If you don't, I'll just drop it in the chat. Someone on the team can put it in the chat. You can call me directly. I want to thank our sponsors today, the Mayor's Office of Faith-Based and Community Partnerships, the Brooklyn Center for Quality Life, HAC, Haitian American Caucus, and also to East Flatbush, Lamaka Homes, East Flatbush, whatever that is. I keep on forgetting your name of your organization. East Flatbush Community Partnerships. Thank you all for joining us on the series. And again, this is just me talking to you all, whatever we can do to be helpful, and we're grateful to all of you. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you on the top. All right, take care. Those of you joining me tonight, Bishop Hezekiah Walker, along with the mayor at Bethel in Harlem. We're going to be here tonight. It's raining, but the rain is going to stop.
I'll be there, Pastor Monroe.
Is it gonna be food?
I'll be
there. There's some great delis and shops in Harlem for food, and so we want you to stop off to some of those before you come to join us, okay? But there's no food, only spiritual food.
Thank you, Pastor Monroe.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Pastor Monroe.
Praise the Lord.
All right. Take care again. See you all. We'll be in Harlem tonight.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bethel Gospel. We start at 6:45. Bishop Hezekiah Walker and the group will be here. Thank you all
Thank
again.
you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right. Thank you all.
God bless.
Hey everybody. It was great that you all joined the conversation. And those of you again who is going to need any type of support for your nonprofit organization, totally we'll be willing to support you. And we're very grateful that you all join us. And those of you listening even after this is posted, so grateful that you could join us for this class. All right, how to create a winning proposal, how to navigate your government, and do apply, make some great impact in where you are serving. So thank you all again, and I will see you soon. All right, take good care of yourself, and we will be seeing you at another time. Thanks again, everybody.